Okay, so here it's our agenda. As you can see, we will start by the sharing session about your group presentation. Each of the 4 groups will present their strategic canvas and the key learnings they got from this strategic canvas about their industry. And especially each group will answer to this question: is my industry a red or a blue ocean? And then we'll start our two-day workshop. And today's workshop will be dedicated to what we call the visual exploration. As an introduction, I will come back on the blue ocean shift process because on Thursday, my screen was not shared. It was, sorry for this mistake. So we'll try by this, and it will show you exactly where we are in this process, because as you understand, this 3-day workshop, we are following the blue ocean shift process. It's quite a quick, fast track process, but we are following it exactly like it has to be. So we have visual awakening. Yes, we had visual awakening on Thursday. Today we'll have visual exploration, and tomorrow we'll have visual strategy creation. And tomorrow we'll have one of my colleagues, Jason Hunter, who will join us at around 4 p.m. and maybe some stakeholders of this innovation challenge. And you will pitch them your Blue Ocean ID. You will get tomorrow after the ideation session. About the agenda, do you have some questions, some reactions? Feel free to interact, of course. It's okay, all is clear. So we'll start by sharing the screen of each of your speakers for each of the 4 groups. So let's start with group number 1, transport. Who is ready to share his screen for the group number 1, transport, to show your strategic canvas and explain your key learnings, the same as we did together during the workshop section on Thursday. So you know, strategic canvas is the value curves, the curves you were drawing, comparing each of the offerings on your industry. So, or maybe another group want to start. Which group want to start to present his strategic canvas and key learnings? Who has the last version of the content from the group? Is it okay? Do you remember? Yeah, it's these value curves. Each group were working on this value curve with strategic canvas as is. And then you had the key learnings. You have done this work. I give you some support and on the last session, and you had to finalize it for today. So please, want to start to present it to everybody here. We're sharing his screen. Maybe Audrey, you want to share your screen? Or Maritz, I don't know.
Hello, Alban.
Yeah, hi.
Pinky here. I'm from group 4, the waste group.
Yeah, waste. Yeah.
I'm going to be collaborating with Yoben with this. So he's going to share his screen because we worked on his computer. Yeah.
Okay, Yoben, you can. I will stop my sharing screen and you can share your screen. You know, you just click at the bottom of your screen, you have a feature called screen sharing. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Joben. Okay, perfect. So all the group number 4, feel free to present your and react. Maybe you could, maybe Joben or Audrey, you can be the speaker as you want, and the rest of the group can also complete, interact, and all other participants, all other groups, you can ask questions to the group number 4, of course.
All right. So he's already shared the screen for the offerings
Perfect.
on the market. So I think because we all came from different perspectives of like waste management, it was kind of hard to find a benchmark that we could work from. But we decided on just waste collection, as you'd mentioned in the previous slide. So we looked at the different types of markets that exist in waste management or waste collection in general. So we noted that there are private services, there are municipal waste removals, and there's also the option of waste pickers that is sometimes done in collaboration with the individuals or households as they are. There are a few complexities, of course, with the waste pickers and done by self, but we decided just for this exercise to not complicate things, to group them into one category. So some of our key elements, Joben, you're welcome to go to the previous slide just so we can show the group what else we thought was relevant to our market. So of course the price was like at the top of the list, and we included level of engagement, service availability, how easy is it to use these different offerings, deontology, which was a new term for all of us. We had to Google it. And basically it's about the ethics of whatever field, like, and crisis management, sustainability, eco-friendliness, and some of the few that we added were our images valued, level of customization, no, those were in it, but what is done with waste when it's collected, we included, and the effectiveness of service equipment. We also included public opinion and trends. So some of the like waste management ways are trendy, such as recycling and the like. So how will people be received when they engage in these sorts of activities? And lastly, we added reward from use. My team members are welcome to chip in if I've missed anything, but basically those were some of the key elements that we identified. The ones highlighted in yellow were the ones that we thought would be relevant to the offerings that we'd come up with. So you're welcome to go to the graphs, Joben. Perfect. So as you can see, the private services were represented by the red graph, municipal waste by the black, and the collaborative effort between self and waste pickers is represented by green. So in the first instance where we had to look at the price comparison, we identified that like when it's done by self, it's kind of affordable, cheap, if you'll call it, because there's no money involved for waste pickers or for the individual. And private services are just below intermediate, and municipal services are most expensive in comparison to the other two. And level of engagement, so we said when it's the municipality that's collecting, the individual doesn't really have to work much. You just need to take your waste outside and it's collected for you. So there's very minimal level of engagement. However, the fact that like the done by self is very low with price means that your level of engagement has to be a bit higher, because now you're separating your waste at source, and the like, and waste pickers as well, when they collect the waste, it's kind of extensive with regards to their engagement. The private services are sort of in the middle because there's offers to collect waste even from your house. So yeah. And the third one, service availability. We noted that the municipal services are consistently available, and one can count on that. And the done by self as well, because you're the individual whenever you want to collect your waste or separate it at source, you can do it at your convenience. And waste pickers in South Africa in particular are very common in our communities. And we said private services are a bit tricky, so we labeled them as intermediate. Um, Ease of use. So all three are kind of just above average. Um, yeah, because there's knowledge, like I mentioned, with um, level of engagement sort of feeds into ease of use. And deontology, we mentioned that when the municipal waste system is collecting the waste, there's not much that you feel you are contributing to the greater scheme of like waste management in the country. You're just disposing of your waste in the easiest way possible. So we said the deontology in that regard is a bit low, but when you're doing it yourself or when waste pickers are assisting you, then your feelings of contribution to the space are a bit more. And even with private services, they are on just below intermediate. And sustainability was a really tricky one to work around because we agreed as a group that like it's not easy. Like, so on the one hand, when one is sustainable financially, doesn't necessarily mean that it's sustainable for the environment. So it was really, really hard to map out the sustainability of each of the fronts. And so we've expressed them this way. I'd like to invite if any of my team members would like to expand on sustainability to chip in quickly. Um, yeah. Okay, so with eco-friendliness, we mentioned that the done by self and waste pickers um, is the one that contributes the most to eco-friendliness because it feeds into the recycling system and yeah, just repurposing or creating new avenues for waste to be redeemed instead of municipal waste, which is often discarded in landfills. It is rarely separated, and a lot of the times, like all sorts of waste gets buried together. And just the idea of burying waste is unfriendly in every sense of the word. In terms of crisis management, this was also a tricky one because crisis looks different for each of the three offerings. So we looked at it from so if the municipality doesn't come and collect waste for a couple of weeks, obviously it piles up because we're a consumer culture, and yeah, with consumerism comes waste. So if like waste heaps up and there is no municipality to collect, it's kind of hard for the done by self and waste pickers to assist in that instance because they can only do so much. Like an individual can only do so much. 10 waste pickers can only do so much with collecting. So on a larger scale, the management of crisis by self and waste pickers is not very efficient. However, we mentioned that private services would be the ones that would come to the aid a bit more effectively than municipality, because yeah, sometimes these sorts of issues arise because municipality hasn't shown up as they should have. And lastly, we rated the effectiveness of equipment service. As you can see, it's very low for the waste pickers and the individuals. This is because no equipment is often needed to separate your waste at source or to be a waste picker. However, a few equipment is needed for like the municipality and private services. We mentioned that with private services, because their obligations are a bit steep, their equipment is often most effective, more effective than the municipality. But we mentioned that the municipalities, if service equipment are pretty intermediate in terms of effectiveness. Yeah, so that is our strategic canvas. And we will move over to our key learnings. All right. This is the one part where I'm going to ask for real that my team members particularly speak into the key learnings that they had, because we each had different key learnings. So I think I'll speak into the pros and cons, and sustainability isn't linear, because I understood those a bit more. But Petunia, Nhlamulo, Kalabi, Yobe, and Maritz, if you'd like to speak into any of them, you're welcome to. So
Sure.
as noted, do you want to go for this one, Maritz?
Sure, I'll chip in here. Thank you for the good presentation so far, Pinky. Yes, I think some of the key learnings that we had was by looking at the strategy canvas and looking at where there was the largest discrepancies between municipalities, private sector, and individuals. Some of the things that I personally noted or that stood out to me was the effectiveness of the service equipment and the level of engagement, where they two coincide in some way or are sort of dependent on one another. And if we look at the strategy canvas, we will see if it was possible to maybe increase the effectiveness of the equipment used, and the level of engagement would also decrease, which will maybe help an individual or be more empowering towards an individual to reap all the benefits of feeling more sustainable, more eco-friendly, if they were empowered to maybe have a little bit more effective equipment, or in that regard, then have a lower level of engagement. So that is what I will contribute to the key learnings. If the other rest of the team would like to contribute.
Thanks, Maritz.
Yeah, very, very nice, very interesting, very clear. I think you got very interesting key learnings. Maybe could you come back on the strategy canvas, and we will ask to all the participants if they have some question for you, maybe if they need some clarifications on the key elements definition you have selected, or if they need more. It was very a lot of information, very interesting. Thanks a lot. Maybe other participants have some question for you. Other groups, do you have some question for group number 4, waste management? Please. Okay, so it seems there are no questions. Me, I would have one question. I think, yeah, we can see on this strategy canvas clearly the red and the black curves. They are the main two possible offerings on this market, and maybe they describe 90% of the current offering proposed on this waste management market in South Africa, private or municipal services. The green curve, it's done by yourself or waste pickers. Maybe it's like alternative. When you do by yourself, it's not an offering, you don't pay for that. You are already on what we call, you remember on the last session, we call them alternative industries, alternative solutions also. And they are, yeah, it's normal that the green curve is quite different compared to the other curves. But what we can notice, if we make a focus on the current main offerings, which are the red and the black curves, they are very close. You can see they are always following themselves in the same half of the graph, and it's very close. So what we can see here, that in terms of value proposed to the customers today, the offerings are quite standardized. It's standard offerings. There are very few differences in terms of value. So that's typical configuration for a blue ocean strategy to be conducted and to be successful, because the current offerings, the market today does not propose very big different, very high level of differentiation. There are each actors, each competitors are playing only with the same elements of value, same value elements. You see, they are all proposing this quite the same offering. You don't see some created or eliminated. Eliminated, it will be maybe more with a green curve, or maybe eco-friendly and deontology, but it's quite for the black curve municipal. But crisis management effectiveness, it's 0 on the green curve. So it shows that it's already a choice you do when you are customers to select between municipal private services or to do by yourself. It has a consequence because you will not be able to manage crisis, and you will have a low level, no effectiveness in with the equipment. So it's a choice. It's typical from alternative solutions. Alternative solutions, they have to inspire you to find this new untouched and unrevealed needs by the market. So it's typical, these alternative solutions, as we said last time, they are typical solutions used by the non-customers, and especially your unexplored non-customers. So it's a way to find new solutions, new services with a blue ocean impact. Okay. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to the group number 4. Very serious, very interesting. Maybe now we can hand over to the group, maybe number 3. I would propose group number 3, the energy and water. I remember you were the group number 3. You were selecting last time, if I remember well. You were you had selected offerings based on measurement tools to measure the water or the energy at home. You made this focus. I remember someone from group number 3 want to present his strategic canvas and his key learnings, the same as group number 4 just done. Very well done. Someone from group number 3, please.
Hello, Alban.
Yeah, hi, Karabo.
Yeah, I will be presenting, and I think Lebogang as well will be presenting, and okay, Mr. Bruce will share the screen.
Okay.
So we'll just wait for Mr. Bruce to share the screen.
Okay. I think it's starting. Yeah, great. Thanks a lot. So you have the mic.
Is Bruce online? Bruce, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Mr. Lebogang. Is Mr. Lebogang as well?
Yes, I'm online. I can hear you, Mama.
Okay, yeah, you can begin.
Yeah, we hear you.
All right. Okay. So the current project that we chose for the energy section, we were debating the groups that the projects that we could use for this task, and we just took an abstract concept based on the energy crisis that we have in South Africa, and one of them, the major one, is centered around illegal connections. So for the illegal connections, we're focusing not just on people, or rather not on people who connect from government or municipal electricity poles, but those who, how do I call, who not outmaneuver, but who reconfigure the metering boxes that are in their houses. And this phenomenon in South Africa, we refer to it as breaching, right? So, yeah, the key points that we focused on for the project is 1, price, service availability, easy to use, reliability, adaptability, service seen as modern, high-tech, crisis management, sustainability, tamper-proof, and accessibility. And please note that for this specific topic, we're focusing on the customer as the government, the electricity provider, not as the end user at the homes, because the end user barely uses the electricity box. It's mostly the government that uses it for detection of all these illegal connections and whatnot. So the individual consumer just has the box in their house and they only use it when they have to input units for electricity. Bruce, can you give us the next slide? Thank you, boy. So this is our strategy Canva. So based on the crisis that we have, we realize that the problem is essentially around the metering boxes that the government has installed in private residences. So we have three categories or three available offerings at the moment that we are aware of or we know of. The first one, which is the ESCOM offering, which is the standard metering boxes that we find on our individual households throughout the country. And then we have rental meterings, which are these more modern meterings that are available in rental complexes and not in individual homes. Then we also have built metering, which is a rare form of metering that is not widespread, but is also found in rental housing. So to explain the three of them before I continue and how they work is the ESCOM offerings, which is the one that we currently use, are boxes that are installed on the outside of your house. And most of us are familiar with them. For those who are not, they're simply just electric boxes that are inputted on the outside of your house that connect your house to the electricity on the national grid. So what happens is whenever you go buy electricity, you just go to any convenience store, or sometimes you could do it online. You could buy the units, then you input a pin onto the metering box and then it loads units for you. Then we have the rental meterings. These are the ones that are found in the more modern rental complexes where we have these, it's a small box that is available inside the unit that can move around. So you just plug it in every time you want to reload electricity, and it connects to one central box, which is probably in the service of the caretaker, or the company that provides the technology has one central box on the complex that has the information of all the rental units. Then we have the last one, which is the built metering. These are the ones where they are available inside the building complex in each unit, but they only give you a reading on how much you have used. Then you are the one who has to do the calculation on how much you're going to be billed at the end of the month. So all you see based on that one is the amount of units that you've spent so far. And then you just make calculations based on how much was it when the month began to the next billing date, right? So those are the three ones. So when we compare them in terms of price, the rental offerings are by far the highest in terms of price because they are a more newer technology than the previous ones. The ESCOM offerings are quite lower in price because they're the ones that were selected initially to be rolled out nationwide. And the last ones have a low price, which is the build metering. And the reason for that is they're not really that sophisticated, but they've not been used a lot. So price at this point is, was not really a factor for their viability. When it comes to service delivery, We refer to this in terms of the ESCOM providers when they want to check for illegal connections. For service delivery, the metering ones are very low because they are inside the house, meaning the ESCOM employees would have to gain access into the person's house and go inside the room to go find it. So in terms of that service delivery, they can't check that and it becomes hard for them to service them. Then the second one is the ESCOM offerings, which are the ones that are outside the household. The reason they have a very low service offering is because they are within your property and most properties are fenced. So in order for them to access them, they would literally have to enter the premises. And most of the time when people have illegal connections, we deny them access or we just call Sabida, the dog, go like, Sa. Bangen. So the dog just does the work. So because of that, they have a lot of impediments that deny them from entering the premises. And the service availability in terms of the rental metering is that they have a central unit on the premises. So if wants to detect or see what's happening premises. So it's also intermediate because in that sense, they tell the building owner first and set an appointment and all of that. So it's accessible, but we consider it as intermediate because it's not that easily accessible.
Yeah, Lebogong, I
Then
think your
ease of
connection is
for
going.
both ESCOM and because
Maybe it's back. But you know, Lebogong, your connection audio is quite low. I don't know if you maybe you can. If okay, maybe let's continue. We'll see. Maybe one of your group can hand over if the connection is going bad.
Okay. Should I continue or
Yeah, let's
will
try.
someone else take it?
Let's try. Yeah. Maybe it's coming back.
Should I continue?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupt.
All right. Yes. So in terms of ease of use, they're quite very low because it's not complicated for you to use for them to use the available product for the service providers to use them. And then in terms of the rental metering, the ease of use, we considered it as intermediate because these are a fairly new technology and not all of them are trained, but the technology itself is not that complicated, right? Then we have the reliability of the metering system. So the reliability, we consider the ESCOM ones below, very low, because they are the reason we are in this crisis that we're in, where we have Soweto, for example, owing billions to the government from illegal connections, largely due to the metering boxes that they offered, which are quite frankly not that useful. But yes, and then the other two are quite reliable because there is no way of breaching them or reconfiguring them to your end needs. And when it comes to the rental one, we considered it as almost very high because it's still a new equipment in the system. So let's just say for now, we don't really know how to, or people who have not experimented on how to reconfigure it yet. So it's quite reliable at the moment. And then adaptability, both the build and the ESCOM metering, they fail in terms of different or difficult situations where people where the service providers now need to address this crisis. They're not necessarily adaptable. It's very hard to reconfigure them into something that's easily accessible because they are mounted. And then the rental ones, as I stated before, they are free devices. So even if the ESCOM service providers wanted to check each unit, they could simply access them on the premises since they are mobile units. And then when it comes to high tech, we considered all of them as not really high tech, with rental build meterings being the lowest of them all because it's an analog that just reads the consumption, that's all. Then the Eskom one, we consider it as quite low because it doesn't actually, yeah, it doesn't do much except give you what you need. And then we considered the rental metering as intermediate because it's an interconnected system, so it has a higher or a more innovation to it rather than these fixed units. Then crisis management, in terms of crisis management, to deal with the current problem that we have, illegal connections, the Eskom meterings and the build one, we consider them below par because we're in this situation and there's no way they can help make it better or get out of it. And then the metering ones, we also considered them as very low or towards very low because they are a system that is well or designed or suited for rental complexes, and it's very hard to implement that system on individual households, right? Then lastly, sustainability. We considered both Eskom and build meterings as unsustainable because if we continue on this path, we'll still remain in this illegal connection and energy crisis, and we're still gonna have our electricity provider Eskom being under debt and they have load shedding. It will still continue. Then when it comes to these newer versions, because so far they've not been tampered with, we've considered them as more sustainable. However, we didn't give them a high quality because again, there's a problem with their implementing them on households. Then in terms of tamper proof, we considered the rental and the build as towards very low because they are in your units and they are the ones that can be tampered with. And it's not that it's not tamper proof, but there's just not been a reason because it's still a limited service for now. Yes. And then we can go to the next slide, Bruce. Thank you. And then the key learnings with the metering services that we've discovered is one, we have an accessibility problem that requires Eskom personnel to be physically present in order for them to detect if there's an illegal connection. So what happens now is that if there's an illegal connection, they come to your premises, they have to check. And then after checking, if they find an illegal connection, they remove the box and then they give you a 6,000 Rand fine in order for them to replace it back. So yeah, but the problem again with that is that they have to be physically present in order for them to know that it's been breached. So yeah, then we have a crisis management issue with regarding to those devices, as current devices cannot solve the process and the current resources cannot deal with the current crisis and are unreliable. So the current metering systems cannot deal with this illegal connection problem because it requires Eskom personnel to go house to house to check for these connections. And there's just not enough personnel to go around the country checking, because the other thing that we can do with these boxes, and I'm not saying that I do it, but I'm just saying what we can do with these boxes that you can reverse the illegal connection so that when they come, they see it's proper. Then as soon as they go, you undo it. So some people would even go as far as to only do it in winter. And then in the summertime, they undo it because they know in winter, there's high electricity consumption. And that's around the time most of these Eskom people come to check. Then, yes, we have an illegal connection problem. So the problem with these boxes is that they are easily reconfigured. So it's no longer a problem, a situation where some people do it, but a lot of people are doing it throughout the country. And it's costing Eskom, our electricity provider, a lot of money, which was supposed to go towards their renovating, servicing of equipment, and maintaining and expanding their electricity providing capacities. Then the current offering is not eco-friendly due to the requirements of human resource. What we mean by that is it requires a lot of personnel to go house to house. And in that sense, the mobility behind it, there's a lot of transport attached to it. The technicians have to drive around community by community every now and then to go check, and it's just not eco-friendly or user-friendly at all. And yeah, those are the key learnings that we
Yeah, very
summarized
interesting.
from
Thanks a lot.
our thinking.
Thanks a lot, yeah, Lebogang. I will let other participants to ask you question to the group number 3, energy. Do we have question for group number 3 to get maybe some?
Yes.
Yes. Joben?
I was just wondering, or at least at our home, we have a prepaid meter, and it works quite well. I'm not sure if you've considered the prepaid meter provided by Eskom, but it works in reverse because you pay and then you use.
Okay, to answer that question, those are the exact same prepaid meterings that we're talking about. You pay and then you input the electricity, the units inside, and then you get electricity. Those are the exact ones that we are busy dealing with there in Soweto. So they are the ones that are being breached.
Yes,
Okay.
I think also,
Thank you.
Ruben, you one of the, not few customers, but a minority that are paying, but most of the customers that Eskom has, they're not paying, so they tampered with their meterings so that they don't pay for electricity, and this has also caused load reductions, especially in townships, because you have so many illegal connections and you haven't planned, to supply such electricity, and already now we have exceeded, what we have planned for. So they do the cuts. But yeah, most people, particularly in townships, they're not paying. So I think our solution, I think our problem was addressing that.
Good, I see.
Yes, I also maybe have a question. If you can maybe go back to the strategy canvas. It's interesting to see that you put the Eskom offerings for tampering proof almost close to intermediate, considering it's already pretty tampering proof. But the crisis is still, it's a considerable crisis. It will be interesting to see if you would go for options of increasing, making it less or possible to tamper with it, if that would address the crisis that already exists, because it would already be quite difficult to find those units that are tampered with, or if it's going to be a complete revamp. So I'm guessing my question is just from the key learnings, would you consider making it more tamper proof?
Okay, based on our key learnings, we were considering an actual change in the system, because the current system is tamper-proof. And if we were to add modifications to it to attempt to make it tamper-proof, we'd still be building on a system that's already been tampered with. So that might create a challenge for us. So what we've proposed as a solution when we were discussing this abstract concept is that we'd rather opt for a system that is wireless, in the sense that we have now metering boxes that actually give off information wirelessly towards the central hub, Eskom, so that whenever people buy electricity, they actually measure the usage, they send information of usage so that they can correlate the electricity being bought and usage. Because now the problem they have is if you don't buy electricity for around 6 months or so, that's when they might raise a red flag. So what most people do, they just buy electricity for 100 Rand just to minimize the situation, you see. So it doesn't necessarily address the problem. So we'd rather have a system that actually reads the usage and gives information to Eskom on usage so that we can correlate the usage and the amount of electricity being bought by the household.
Okay. Yes, that answers it. So you would shift away from the current system and go for a consider it a sort of new revamp instead of trying to increase the
Yes,
tamperability.
definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you a lot. Just I have one question for the group number 3. First, if you want, you can, just a tip, you can double click on the home, home at the top of the top left of the screen. You double click on home. No, not the home, the drawing. Yeah, home. Double click, and it will make your picture, bigger. Just or maybe one time. Yeah, one time. Yeah.
Oh.
It will be a little bigger to see it easily. I have one question for group number 3. It's simply, do you think you are on a blue or a red ocean industry? Do you think there is a potential to create a blue ocean on this industry based on your strategic canvas? You see, mostly are the current offerings standardized or differentiate? Is a price based on price? The value is it based on price or not?
Okay. I would say that we are blue ocean in the sense that we have an existing market and we are revamping the system that is the available system that is there and addressing the crisis at the same time. So our system is we are implementing a product to an existing system that will only serve to alleviate or remove the crisis that we have. So I'd say blue ocean.
Yeah, I think, in fact, that's what we will do today. Today, you will maybe discover new hidden issues, hidden pain points on the market. And this, you have already listed some pain points, a lot, based on tamper-proof, based on the crisis, the lockdown, and the fact that some people don't pay their bill and so on. But maybe there are others, and we will list what we'll do today. We'll list all the non-customers on your industry, and it will make you think about which pain points or dreams or key issues are hidden currently on this industry, to find what you should create in terms of value, to create a blue ocean. Yeah, it's very interesting. On your strategy canvas, you can see all the curves are parallel, except on reliability. Each curves, black, green, and red, they are all parallel. You see, it's typical from a red ocean because it's a segmentation. Segmentation, it's typical red ocean strategy. You see, the more you pay, the more you have in terms of value. So here you can see the green, it's considered as a low cost offering, the red as a medium offering, and the black curve as a premium offering. The more you pay, the more you have. but it's always based on the same key elements, same values. So all this metering system, they propose the same value, but with a different level based on the price you pay. And it's typical red ocean configuration, you see. And what you have, there is one question mark, 1 point, it's reliability, because the low cost, the bill metering, which is the low cost offering on this market, has put on the top, at the top, reliability. So maybe there is something here. It should be like a warning for you, because one of the actors, which is low cost, has put at the top value the reliability. So maybe there is something, some hidden issues, hidden pain points you should detect, and maybe they have found something. Maybe it's a little start of blue ocean they are trying to do with this reliability at the top.
Okay.
Some reactions from the group number 3? Some compliments? It's all good. Okay, very interesting. Thanks a lot, group energy. So it's very clear, very complete. Now we will ask maybe Brighton to, or maybe somebody else from the group number 1, transport, to present their strategic canvas and their key learnings. Or maybe group number 2, if you are ready, revenue collection, as you want. You just share your screen.
Hi, Alban.
Yeah, Brighton.
I just want to check with my group first before I can.
So group number 2, maybe revenue collection, you are maybe ready to present? With here from group number 2, maybe Tato, Canayo. Are you ready to present your strategic canvas and your key learnings? Maybe Audrey from group number 2. Who is ready in group number 2? No reaction. Are you here?
Hi, Alban,
Hi,
and
Audrey.
everyone. We are still finalizing a few things, so I think we'll be ready in 5 minutes.
Okay, that's the pressure of the last 5 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, maybe Brighton, you are ready? Yeah, with your group? I think, yeah, you can start. It's quite easy, and with the transport, you compare the car, the train, the plane, or the train. Okay, you share your screen?
Okay, just hold on. I'm gonna open the.
Yes. So feel free in this time lapse, if you have some reactions about this, what we have understood from this strategic canvas. Are there some questions?
I do have a question. I don't know if my connection is clear.
Yeah, you can hear you. Yeah, it's okay.
So it's quite interesting. So what I wanted to understand actually is how when you read the strategic canvas, right?
Sorry. Yeah, maybe someone has this microphone open.
Right.
Yeah,
so my question is, when reading the strategy canvas, what are you looking for in terms of the trends in the graph to qualify it as either a blue ocean or a red ocean?
Yeah, that's the first point.
Yeah. What are the factors that you look for in the trends, how the graphs are moving? Because I'm trying to.
Yeah, Kalebi, sorry, yeah, somebody was, your question is about what you are looking for when you analyze this graph?
Yeah, when you analyze the strategy canvas, what is it that you can say, okay, this is a red ocean because the graph is like this, or this is a particular trend that you're picking.
Yeah, because basically it's because it's standardized, because the offerings are standards, they are quite all the same, or because there is segmentation, as we have seen for the group number 3. They have the same curves, but translated in terms of price. And there you have the premium, the low cost, the medium offering. Yeah. And just at least this information, if you are clearly on a red ocean, it shows you the opportunity to create a blue ocean. If your industry is clearly red with very standard offerings with this segmentation, it shows you that you have the potential on this industry to create a blue ocean. It's quite a big information to start. And then other information you get, and the groups, the group 4 and group 3, they did it very well. They have identified hidden pain points, hidden opportunities, potential to be taken to create something new, because they see there are some points, some key points, key elements, some values, or some pain points the industry does not cover for now. So this is an opportunity to propose this value in your offering. So to start your blue ocean. Is it clear? Does it answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does. And I would like maybe if you could explain more on segmentation. What do you mean by segmentation?
Yeah, segmentation is exactly what we have seen with group number 3. You see all the value curves at the same shape. They were the same. They were looking the same because they were proposing exactly the same values, but with a different level. And this level was always, except on the reliability, they were always always proportional to the price. And it is typical segmentation. Segmentation, on the market, is when you have a low-cost offering, a premium offering, a medium offering. They will propose all the same values, the same element of values, but with different level based proportional on the price. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you. That answered my question.
Welcome. So Brighton, you are ready for group number 1? No? It's okay? We cannot hear you. Sorry. Yeah, your microphone is mute. Yeah, Brighton, you are mute. You need to activate your micro. Yeah, it's okay.
Yes. I'm just trying to check so that I can confirm with my group members, because we sent you our presentation for feedback, and I'm sure you did you send it back?
Yeah, I send you a feedback. Yeah.
Okay.
I send you feedback. Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm that. So
okay, we have group 2. Group 2 tell me they are ready to start. So group 2, yeah, let's share your screen, and Brighton can finalize with this group.
Okay, thank you.
Group 2, you can start. You can share your screen. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, group 2, you can click on the home. Yeah, the same. So it will hide the ribbon of PowerPoint. It will make the picture bigger and more understandable for everybody. So yeah, we have lost the screen sharing from Kanayo.
Hi there, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, no, the screen sharing is off now. It
was
okay.
Working, sorry about that. Hold on 1 second.
We can hear you very well. All is good.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, you just click on home here on the top of your PowerPoint window, on the ribbon.
Is this fun?
So you can be on the full screen. It's almost, it's perfect. Okay, you have the mic.
All right. who is going to start with the price? Here's the criteria.
It's here, I think, criteria, and then you have the value curves, the strategic canvas just after.
Sorry, 1 second.
Maybe if you want, you can start directly on the strategic canvas. It's okay. Huh?
Hi, can you please go to the graph? Okay, so for revenue collection, we have identified our 3 main offerings. This is what the municipality currently uses to collect revenue. So they are currently using EFT, municipality offices and retailers like your post office, ShopRite and PEP to collect revenue for the services they offer to its residents. So I am going to start with the EFT. So the price uh, with the EFT, it's high because you pay bank charges and service fees. And service availability is also high because you can get this service anytime, anywhere you are. And ease of use, we say it's very high because if you have a smartphone and you are tech savvy, you can easily use this service. And reliability, it's very high because if you are able to get on your internet and connect, you can get access to the municipality's website and do your EFT transfers. And adaptability, we say it's intermediate because if you are an old person, you cannot easily use their services if you are not tech savvy. And also understanding of the user needs, we say it's intermediate because currently the EFT only allows for certain banks to do bank transfers. So if you use, for instance, your Capitec Bank or your Net Bank, you are unable to pay using EFT. And convenience, it's very high because you can do this while you do other things, and it's very convenient to pay your bill using your EFT transfer. And payment clearance time is very high because unlike, for instance, for the retailers, it takes days to clear your bill. So with EFT, we have put that it's very high. So on the retailers, the price is intermediate because you don't have to pay extra for when you are making payments to your municipality bills. Service availability, we said intermediate because there are a lot of places or outlets where you can make this payment. And ease of use, it's very high because it's as easy as standing in a queue and giving your documents to a what do you call them, the teller, and also giving them money and they print a slip and you are done. And reliability, we put somewhere between very low and intermediate because of these shops work with what can I say, with time. So you find that they open at 9 and close at 5, and sometimes you can't get there in time. And we what is this thing? Understanding of the user needs. I think they sort of in the intermediate bar because the municipality understands that retailers or their clients spend most times in the malls and shops. So they have made this services available to them so that when they do other things at the malls, they can also be able to pay their bills. And also security is very low at the retailers because you stand a chance at being robbed. And convenience is very high. Like I've said, it's high because you are able to pay your bill while you do other things. So you don't have to create a specific time for paying your bill. So you can do it while you do other things. Payment clearance time, it's in the intermediate as well, because the clearance time that it takes for your bill to clear, because what happens with municipality bills is that sometimes they block your services. For instance, if your water bill is very high, so they block your electricity, so you can't purchase electricity. So if you are paying your bill or at a retailer, it takes more time for your bill to clear, unlike when you are using their direct municipality offices. So payment clearance time is intermediate for when you are using retailers. Yes, so that's it for the strategic canvas graph. We can move to key learnings. Kumo will take over.
Hi guys. So key learners in terms of what we have learned from the strategic canvas is that a reliable, trusted service is what a customer will always go for, where their data is secured. Customers always fear fraud due to online banking, thus not so much of the elders do cell phone banking. And adaptation to new methods isn't always easy, but if the service availability is high, they will always opt for it when all else fails, meaning that when what they usually do manually fails, then they'll always opt for EFTs, what we would want to offer. Municipal offices and outlets get to be out of service during strikes. So, as we know in South Africa, most municipalities always strike, making service availability non existent because then they can close for about a week. And both municipalities and outlets that have point of sale options have trading hours, which shows that they are not the best services for City of Tshwane to offer to customers, because then in an instance where Katle had said that sometimes you get blocked, so you would need to first unblock, and that also takes time. And to also make the funds, they will have to unblock you first and then pay your funds, and you'd find you still have to wait a couple of hours until your electricity is back. Also, security from City of Tshwane to customers matters most, because in South Africa, we know most money in the government entities always get looted due to corruption. We need a reliable billing system that will provide accurate billing to avoid corruptions in terms of the customers. You know, sometimes a customer can have debt and they haven't been checking regularly how much debt they owe to the City of Tshwane. So when they eventually check to try to pay, because most of the times you'd find that they have cut off the electricity, and then they'd find that maybe they owe about 80K and they can't reference how it got there, because sometimes when they see that you're not making payments, then they just add enormous amounts of money to your bill because you're not paying attention. And now that you are stranded, they know you'll just pay what is required or whatever amount you get to settle together in terms of negotiating. So we need to have a system where customers who don't check their debts regularly don't get overcharged. So also that means we need to provide a good service to the customers as City of Tshwane. And also payment clearance times should be standardized to an almost immediate time that is ease of use, because then if using EFT, then you know that you have an immediate payment option and then your bill gets to be paid on real time. So in terms of what we learned, that's what, yeah, we got to learn as we did our canvas.
Yeah, thanks a lot to group number 2. Very interesting, very clear. Do we have some question from other participants to the group number 2? Reactions or question?
Maybe I have a
Yeah.
question regarding
Margaret?
the strategy canvas. If you can maybe go back one slide. Just a question regarding saying ease of use for EFT being very high. With that assessment, why is it still that people would use municipalities and retailers if the ease of use was that high for all? So I think maybe it is your target, or who's the individual that you're looking at, as you've mentioned about the younger generation or an older generation, which connects to the security. Why is it that the older generation would? It's most likely them who would go to municipality offices and retailers to pay that bill. Why would you then assess ease of use that high as well as security? If it was that high, wouldn't all people then use EFT?
I think it's because most of the time it's because of adaptability. Not so many people adapt, like I said from my key learnings. With the elderly people, you know, especially the pension funders, they're always used to doing what they do. So in an instance where they get their pension fund from SASA, after that they're already in stores, so they would opt to go to a point of sale and just pay there, unlike going back home and do it electronically on their phones. And like I've mentioned, that also not most of the elders have smartphones to start with, so not all of them get to pay online, because then they fear fraud that is due to online banking, and that's because they do not know that there is secured measures. So even in terms of the sixth path, where we are still going, we did mention some of the things in terms of how we would want to eliminate, rather have an ease of use to the elders, because currently for what we have, it would probably, let's say, aim to about an average of the elders that are like from 40 to 50. Now when it starts getting to 60 and above, more people get to be a bit more worried about using online services. Kanya, I don't know if you want to add something.
No, I think actually you said it better than me. Yeah, it's very important to realize where we're coming from, because most of South Africa, if you remember, like we come from physically going to to venues when we wanted to pay something. So now versus EFT, where you can quickly just go for a bank transfer or something along those lines. That's like something to consider, that people static to how do I say, changing the way they'd want to pay, even though there's an easier way to pay, if I could say it like that. I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
And also just to add on, in terms of EFT, currently not so many people do know that you can actually pay your electricity bills online. And I'm saying this because even I did not know, as much as technologically savvy, but I did not know that there are those options. So some of these things need a bit of marketing in terms of letting people know that there are such measures.
Yes, I think you just perfectly pointed out what I'm trying to get to. So you would say that another key element, which I think, as we discussed now, would be to say that the knowledge or know-how would also be a key element, where for EFTs, it would be very, very low. And for municipalities and retailers, it would be very high, which would have that big discrepancy to maybe look at for future blue ocean strategies. Yes.
Yeah,
That's
very
just a
interesting.
quick
We
comment
have a
on that.
question from Karabo
Oh,
on the
okay.
chat.
Yes, let me answer, Karabo.
Yeah, sure.
So, Karabo, your question is from key learnings are the overcharges during billing as a result of human error or the technology algorithm. So basically, you might know or you might not know that the City of Tshwane used to send people to homes to take meter readings. So these people are no longer seen. So what the municipality is currently doing is they estimate what your use of, for instance, water would be based on your meter readings from the last month or the last few months. So I would say it's due to an technological error or algorithm error, because those estimates might not be accurate, because you find that maybe for this month I was hardly ever home, or I was on holiday or something like that. So those estimates would be incorrect.
And also, just to add on that, in terms of corruption, I'd say that is human error, whereby from the inside in City of Tshwane, someone would say, "Oh no, I just added another zero. So instead of saying you owe 1,000 rand, now it got to be 10,000." But if then the customer did not notice, then they would pay 10,000 rand. So that's why I was saying that we need a system that will also provide accuracy from City of Tshwane to the customers, because our solution is meant to help the customers.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Karabo, did we answer your question?
Yeah, Karabo, is it okay? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks Kumo, thanks Audrey, thanks all the group number 2. Very clear, very interesting. And there you see you have already detected some ways, some elements to be created or to be eliminated, to be able to create your own offering as a blue ocean. So it's very, very good. Brighton and group number 1, it's your turn if you are ready. Is it okay?
Yes,
Okay.
I'm just going to share my screen now. I'm not sure how to share my screen.
You just click on the switch, on the button on the bottom of your screen. It's called share screen, screen sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it. Thank you.
And you can use like the other group, you know, or you can show in full screen your presentation, or you click on the slideshow to make disappear the ribbon.
Okay.
It will be a bigger, you know, on the top you have yeah, you can. Yeah, perfect.
Is that better?
Yeah, perfect. You are in presented. You need to change the display settings. You see display settings. You're on the top. Display settings. You see on your screen, because we are.
What must I change?
Display settings. You see the second. Yeah, and swap presenter view. No, swap. Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry for that delay. My PowerPoint was not configured correctly, so the document was, it looked like it's the wrong one. Anyway, I shall continue. So on the transport, the key elements that we picked out already, there were elements that were already listed on this and under this section, which is the price, I think the price is a major one. But the ones that I'm really going to talk about that were very critical are safety, efficiency, accountability, quality of service, which me and my group list. These are the elements that we added onto this list, starting from safety, efficiency, accessibility, convenience, quality of service, accountability, and customer respect and time. I'm just going to go straight to the graph and explain these key elements. So we, in City of Tshwane, we have basically four major modes of transport, which is your taxi, buses, that can be your Patco and your Arieng, and your train, which is your metro rail predominantly, and the cars. So if I look at the pricing, you can see that the cars are more expensive. It's a very expensive mode of transport because of all the expenses that you go through before you can use this mode of transport, which is buying the car, maintenance, service, insurance. They add up to the cost to make it very high, and the petrol as well, which is the fuel. And if you compare with your train, the train offers the least expensive because being a very big mode of transport that transport many people, that lowers the cost and also the operating expenses. If you look at the taxi system, which is very similarly meshed to the car, these are your 14-seater, 13-seater minibus taxis. And the reason why they are also very high is because of the expenses that go into buying the vehicles, maintaining and paying the driver, and paying the car installments. Makes this service very high in terms of cost, with your bus system being intermediate because it can carry more passengers, and therefore it lowers the operating expenditure as compared to the taxi and the car system. Now, if I move on to safety, we all know that in the city, because of cultural behavior, taxi drivers, they always break the rules and are always in a hurry to ferry the passengers. So that ultimately causes accidents, and therefore they offer the least in terms of safety. Cars being driven by the owners and also insured, me and my group, we decided that the safety is relatively higher than all of these modes of transport that are offered in the city. And when we go to quality of service, having your own car, I think you are responsible for your own service. So therefore, it still maintains a very high quality of service, whereas the train, which is offered by the as a public transport, is a very low quality of service because the system is meant in such a way that it does not talk to the clients. It is just it's I would call a robot system where either you do this or you don't, and there's no in between. For example, if the train, if we look at the train routes, some of them, they stop in the middle of the in dangerous areas where there's no security, and it's either you use at your own risk or you don't. So I think the quality of service with regards to the train system is the lowest, is the least, and the taxis are intermediate. However, the buses do offer a very great service because they are time bound, and being on major routes, they are always on time, mostly, if there is no traffic, of course. And when I go to reliability, I think because a lot of people, they use taxis in the city, that to me indicates that the taxi system is a very reliable mode of transport, as well as having your own car. Ultimately is reliable because you can plan your own time, your own routes and destination at your own time as you go. However, with the train, you cannot change. It's a fixed route. So therefore, if there is a power cut, the reliability is very bad. And also because of the cable theft, which is one major challenge with the train mode of transport, it ultimately reduces the reliability of this system. Buses are intermediate because sometimes if there's strikes, worker strikes, you don't get your destination on time. Then I'm going to move on to accessibility, how accessible these modes of transport are. Your own car, of course, is the best because it is parked in your garage. Whenever you want to go to work or any place, you just hop in and go. When you look at taxis, because the taxi system has penetrated most parts of our cities, especially the townships. They go where most modes of transport do not go. Therefore, you realize that a lot of people are using this transport system because it is reliable. It gets them to their destinations much closer compared to your trains and your bus system, which are fixed on certain routes. So therefore, you can see that the taxis are doing a very good job in terms of accessibility. Efficiency, well, the train is not a very good efficient mode of transport because again, due to the fact that the routes are fixed, and whenever you want to go somewhere, you have to plan and take into consideration the routes. It does not get you to the destination. Ultimately, you will have to find another mode of transport to get to your final destination. Whereas your car gets you exactly where you are going. And taxis, they really do good because they've penetrated most parts of the city. Therefore, they get you very close compared to the rest. Conveniency. You can also see that taxis are really a very convenient mode of transport. Of course, your own car would be the best because, I mean, it goes under your own terms. And when you look at the train system in terms of convenience, being due to the fact that it's a fixed system, and also you do not really have what is it within the train mode of transport, you don't have a variety of choices. It's either the metro rail or nothing. Therefore, it's not really a convenient mode of transport. Whereas when you look at your taxis, you can pick and choose. With the buses, intermediate, you can pick and choose. You can switch between service providers. You cannot do that with your train system because it is, we could say, a monopolized mode of transport where your service provider is only a single entity. When you look at understanding of needs, now this is what it means. Understanding of needs, we were looking from a perspective of the service provider, whether they understand the customer's needs, which is the person they are transporting. You can see quite clearly here that the taxi system is very understanding in terms of their customer base, where they can introduce new routes to make it better for their clients. And also they can alter their routes to get their clients safe in terms of, say, it's beyond working hours, let's say at night, when it's not safe, they are flexible in terms of that. Whereas your taxis, your train system is not flexible at all. We all know that. And the routes are fixed, and therefore, it does not really speak to the understanding of needs of their clients. Also, I just want to add on the car, this could either also speak to your hailing services like your Uber and your Taxify in terms of a mode of transport. Then we come to easy to use. Easy to use. The train is also not a very good mode of transport that is easy to use because it is a fixed operation schedule. If you are not on time, you miss out on your route. In terms of payments, it's a very old system that they are using. Either you have to have a ticket beforehand, which could be difficult for emergency travels. Therefore, it's not a very easy to use mode of transport. Whereas your hailing services is very easy. You just switch on the app, make a payment, request a ride, and there you go. The bus system is also intermediate because it's in between, because it's scheduled. Therefore, it does not really cater for emergencies. Then I'm going to go to the conclusions where I talk about the key learnings from this analysis. We find that the public transport offered in the city is very unreliable, and this pushes residents to use the much more expensive modes of transport, which is your taxi. Either you own your car or your hailing services, because these charge per kilometer and are much more expensive. Safety is a very major concern in terms of transport, because ultimately each and every person that uses any mode of transport would want to arrive at their destination safe with security. Therefore, you can see that in the city of Tshwane, your people, your residents are using the least safe mode of transport, which is your taxis, because if you look back, they are using the least mode of transport because of what I just said, your cultural behavior of your drivers, how they drive on the roads. And they are forced to use this because this mode of transport then, it talks to most of their needs, which are your reliability, accessibility, efficiency, conveniency, and easy to use. And this is a big a point of major concern, because it then says that people do not really have much of a choice in terms of transport. Road transport is very critical, and if developed to international standards, the city will reduce dependency on taxis and minimize traffic congestion. Because what is happening now in the city of Tshwane, which is a locked city, you have taxis and cars being the major service providers in terms of transport. And because they have a very small footprint, you need much more of them in order to meet the city's needs in terms of transport. However, if you look at rail transport, if this infrastructure is developed quite well in terms of the reach, accessibility, if the accessibility, efficiency, and convenience, if these three are increased, you can have a better competitive environment where you can be able to lure most of these customers that are opting to use the least safe mode of transport. And that would be all for me. If anyone has questions, I'm willing to take them.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brighton. Do we have question for group transport? Reactions, questions for the group one?
Okay, Alban.
James?
I just have a question for Brighton and the group. Can you just go back to the previous slide? Okay. On reliability, I heard you mentioning that the buses are much more, the taxis are much more reliable compared to the buses.
Yes.
So my question is that, have you also looked at the fact that normally when you want to use a taxi, let's say you want to get into the 22-seater taxi, and you are the first person to enter into the taxi, you're still gonna wait for the taxi to get full so that the taxi can leave. Whereas a bus can just leave with you alone in the bus, because they're working with time, and the taxis, they're actually looking for money and for more people to get in the taxi. So if you are in a hurry, that means you're gonna get to your destination a bit later. Whereas with a bus, it becomes much more convenient because they're working with time. There's a specific schedule that is put in place. Thank you.
Also, can I just add on what he was saying? In terms of reliability, I would think a train is more reliable. Well, considered if it's like a how train, for example, I know that, okay, maybe I can use a taxi or an Uber to get to the how train. And once I get to the station, there won't be traffic. So I know if I have to be somewhere at a certain time, I'm most likely to get the fastest using a train either than a bus, because it still gets stuck in traffic just like a car and also just like a taxi.
Hi, can I also add on the bus being accessible, especially in the city of Tshwane, because I see there you have said the accessibility is very high, whereas in the city of Tshwane, buses are only available in suburbs as well as in town. So in I don't know what you call them, kasi or locations, they are not really available, especially the Tshwane buses or Arieng buses. So yeah, I can see there you said accessibility very high.
also with that, most of the buses in the township, like City of Tshwane, I think in my area, which is a township, they're only available for like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. and then throughout the day they are not available.
Well, sorry guys, can I please just comment on this? I think you see this topic is not quite an easy topic, especially when it comes to transport. But we need to remember that all these transports, that's why now there's Ubers, they're improving as time goes on. So now I think that with with the modern technology right now, because now if you look at the taxi industry, the normal taxi industry, which we have the 16-seater taxis and all those things, we don't request those taxis to come to us. Rather than Uber, you request Uber to come to you. So I think now with that in mind, being that in mind, now we have to take all these things as a collection and group these things together. Then I think we would quite understand the complexity in the different in ages, you see, because I think it's not a very easy task to tackle. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, you're trying to get a solution for the customer. So it's always about what would the customer prefer that would be ease of use, that would be of convenience and reliable and easily accessible and all that. But I guess maybe with all the things we are yet to learn, we will still get improvements and yeah, get better solutions and stuff.
Exactly.
And I
You
also
need to
just,
find other solutions and maybe other key elements which has not been detected from now from the industry. We have M4. M4 wanted to react also.
Yes, hello everyone. When you talked about the price of the train being very low, I think you should have looked at in terms of customer perspective, where you would find some customer would still spend more by traveling from one point to the train station by using a taxi before they can catch that train station. So those things you need to look at them into consideration. Also, I think you needed a graph of the Uber service offering.
Yeah, I agree with Paul. I mean, yes, I understand this transport thing is complex, but combining your own car and Uber, it makes the car like the best solution. Like you don't need anything else.
Yes, I also agree. I think it would also help if you maybe change or not change, but also look your main offerings in terms of services that are offered. For example, with the buses, you have the Arayang running around in suburbs, and as they also mentioned about the buses going from townships, those Patco buses, that I think there are two distinctly different services also compared to your own transportation service and Uber. Same with Gautrain and the trains running from Mamelodi, for example. I also think there are different services which would maybe help to distinguish them more instead of looking at a specific mode of transportation. Because I think if you were taking bus, taxi, you can also put in there motorcycle, walking, bicycles, things like that. So I think that makes it a little bit more complex.
Okay, thank you.
Hold on, guys. Can you please hold? I mean, I haven't had a chance to respond. And also, if just anyone wants to speak, can they sort of raise a hand? I think that will make it a bit more cordial. I just want to respond to most of the concerns that have been raised. With respect to the transport system, it's a very complex system, like you guys have seen, because I mean we have different services. For example, when it comes to the buses, you have your RN, which mostly caters to the CBD and a few suburbs. And then you have your City of Tshwane, which also caters mostly your suburbs. And then you have your other bus systems like your Star and your Patco that mainly service your townships and so forth. the reason why we decided to put in terms of reliability, the reason why we decided to put, the reason why we decided to put, okay, I couldn't find my mind. Sorry about that. In terms of the train, the reason why the train is performing very poor compared to the rest is because when you look at your reliability, people, when a mode of transport is very reliable, it will speak in terms of the customer base, and you will see more people using that mode of transport. Basically, because it is not reliable, people do not really use this mode of transport. It's only because they do not have a choice and they're desperate. When you look in terms of the price, the pricing, trains are basically are much more cheap without looking at the fact that you might have to take a taxi to go and catch a train. But when you look, we address that issue in terms of convenience here and accessibility, because these trains, they run on fixed routes. Therefore, you can see that they are performing very bad in terms of accessibility, because then you have to pay for you to access that very low price offering that they have. When you look at the car system, what we wanted to address, to show here, is that we basically have 4 modes of transport. The one that you use a car, whether you are it's your own car, or you are hiring a taxi. Also, something happened. I'm not sure what happened. Or whether you are hiring a taxi, it falls under this the same mode of transport, because this is a personal vehicle, and this the cost of this are much more similar if you look at it from a long run. When you stretch the operating expenditure that you would incur when you use a car, they are much more similar. However, what I just wanted to highlight here is that this mode of the 4 modes of transport that are offered in the city are very complex, because you have systems that only work in certain areas, and some work in certain areas, and therefore you get this confusing outlook that is very difficult to digest and to understand. Okay,
it's clear, yeah, Brighton, you're right, and that's why we use this overview. We take a step forward, and we bring this overview on all the market, all the industry, to understand it through the customer's eyes, through the value we bring and the market can bring to the customers, and it makes all more normally all simplified. That's the objective. When you take the customer point of view, you simplify a lot, because customers, they don't make complex analysis on the market, on the offering. They just live the experience. Maybe some other question, reactions to Brighton. It was quite a debate. Want to react on the Brighton, on what Brighton just said? Yeah, we have Joben, raise the hand.
Yes, I would first of all like to say very well done, because I can see how complex this is, and how how confusing it can be. I'm just wondering, because taxis, I suppose they would divide into 2 main groups, and I think it might do good to consider the 2. Is because we have the minibus taxis and then the Ubers, which would sort of in the customer's eyes they would consider a taxi.
Yeah, I agree with this. Yeah, maybe to have a difference between Uber-like taxis and minibus, it can be relevant.
Well, what we did is, like I just said, I think we combined the Uber system as in terms of the cost wise as owning your own car, because if you look at the cost of using an Uber, it's much more similar to owning your car because of the expenses that you incur if you use it for a very long period of time. It might actually be much more expensive. That's why we wanted to use this the taxi, the red graph to only speak to your minibus system. But maybe we should have done that actually and added
Yeah,
another.
it's a way of improvement. It's you know, yeah, the discussions is to support, to give you some support to help you to improve and to have other point of view. And it's you know, strategic Canva. It's you just have done the first version, but then you will have several other versions to make it even more precise, more relevant. But it's a first good version. Congrats for that. We have Calabi. Calabi raised his hand.
Yeah, Alban. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think just as Jordan said, this the strategy canvas. It's I'm picking up that it's quite a complex process to do. And one of the things that maybe I can highlight is with when you look at particularly transport and mobility, they've highlighted something for me. If you look at safety, they have what is this? So in terms of their safety, the cars are more safer than train, and which is and I don't know how they form that understanding, but usually trains and airlines will be a safer mode of transport. But that is not my question. My question is, when I see things like this, I want to understand how involved is this process of developing a strategic canvas in terms of who do you involve? Do you speak to experts in that market? In terms of making sure that whatever the strategy canvas is reflecting, it's accurate and we have the correct understanding and reading.
Yeah, it's a good question. In fact, the process, as I said, it's first to have your own understanding, like we did, like you did on Thursday, and you did the homework, is to have first your feeling, what you feel are the values delivered to the customers by each offering on the market. And then, yeah, to make it more accurate, you need to make people react. People from your group, people here, other participants here we have, to have reactions from the outside, from your colleagues, from from also customers. You can interview your own family, your close people, and go in the street, I don't know, in the transport, in the visiting people using energy measurement and so on. So, and you have their reaction to make it more precise, to be sure that you don't forget. Yeah, but the point here is also always you have to have in mind it's big elements. Like we said on Thursday, it's big elements. We don't care about details. We don't care about specific things. Maybe there are other very specific way of transportation, but we don't care. Here we take the big elements. We need an overview, a very high level understanding on the value already delivered today currently on the market. That's the only objective, and it will simplify all, and it will give us a way to propose a simplified offering, because it's, as you understand, eliminate, reduced. It's all about simplification. Blue Ocean strategy, it's first simplification of the offering. If you can stop doing things who are very specific to very specific clients or specific experiences, you will find your Blue Ocean if you are able to do that. Does it answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Do we have other reactions to the transport group?
Yeah, I maybe just on Khalibi's comment on the safety. I think the safety assessment is quite fair. I don't think they specifically point towards what your chances are of being in an accident. I think they consider the user experience.
Yeah, the feeling, what they are experiencing.
Yeah, I
in
think
the
if you
transport.
are in a train or in a minibus, there's more likely that you can experience another customer, maybe a mugging or whatever. You have interaction with other people, where if you are in your car, I don't think you have that sense of feeling unsafe or being in confrontation with someone else. So
But maybe you are unsafe, but you don't feel it.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
maybe
Exactly.
we can see here it's maybe clearly for South Africa. Maybe in another country it will be another feeling. It will be changed. All the transport ranking will be changed. It depends on the locality where you are understanding the customer experience. Other question? Maybe we are on chat. We have. Okay, it's okay. Audrey, you say smash and grab for cars, yeah, on the chat. Okay, so last reactions. It's okay. No more reactions. I will ask again the same question to the group transport. Is your industry a blue or red ocean? Do you see potential to create a blue ocean?
Well, I think there is a very big potential to create a blue ocean.
And why?
There is a very big potential.
Is it as we said, a red ocean, an industry where the market is red? It's a red ocean. It's about because they have segmented offerings.
Yes.
And here clearly we see, except safety. Safety, there is a question mark, something to discuss. But on all the other elements, you see segmented. The car, the maximum price, it's at the top of the top everywhere, each element. The bus, it's intermediate price, it's intermediate quite all the elements. The taxi is high price, it will be at high level to all the elements except safety, where there is a question mark. And the train, it's a low cost, the low cost offering, it will be low at all the elements. You see, they are all, each value curves are translated. They are the same in parallel, just depending on the price. So it's clearly segmented. It's clearly blue ocean strategy. This industry is following a blue ocean strategy. So there is a big potential to create your own blue ocean strategy on this. So thanks a lot. Here we will do a pause because we started 2 hours ago. We'll come back. We'll come back. I propose at 11:30. Is it okay for you? In 25 minutes, 11:30. We come back here at 11:30, and we will directly go to the workshop, the first workshop today we have. Okay, so see you in 20 minutes, 25 minutes. We'll continue. We are back. Maybe some people are missing. So we'll wait 5 minutes to have everybody on board. So I wanted to point to you that it was very positive surprise, very interesting to see how well you were, and very professional. It appears to me very professional how you have prepared this strategic canvas and key learnings. So congrats to all the groups, the 4 groups, because it was very, very nice, very good, very good level, and very thankful and very professional. So congrats. Yeah, Pinky, we can applause. You're right. So if you have some question before we start again, some reaction or question, feel free now to ask. We'll wait 5 minutes to have everybody back. No question for now.
I have one question.
Yeah, sure. Joben first, and then don't know who we're talking then. Yeah, Joben.
Okay. So what I was wondering, in our with group 4, we're looking at waste management, and we've sort of So we were wondering about, or I was wondering about whether we look at the industry of recycling, or would we look at general waste removal services as an industry? And also this is now a second question, but I was wondering, because we realized yesterday or on Thursday that we almost have 3 service users in a sense, because we're helping the municipality, and we're also, but our main customer base would be the homeowners, and then we also have the waste pickers who we are sort of helping or assisting.
Yeah.
At least that's in my case. And I was wondering, would we consider each one, or do we choose a customer and focus on them? Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Very interesting. In fact, you are in advance to the workshop we'll do today, because your first question about the field, clearly I think waste management is the good perimeter for your industry, and recycling, it's part of this. It's one, what we call it in the experience, it's one step in the full experience of the waste management. And we will have a look on that on the tool, the Blue Ocean tool called the buyer user cycle. And the objective of the second workshop we'll do today is to point for the non-customers, which step is the most important, which step is key in this full buyer user cycle. And maybe recycling will appear to you for the non-customers as the key step. And exactly what we will do today. And your second question was about non-customers, right? It was about non-customers between waste pickers and people who are doing their waste management, their recycling at home, I think. It's exactly what we'll do at the workshop right now. It's identification of the non-customers, because you have already thought about non-customers. It's good. It shows that you are implied in the session. Is very good, and I've already listed for you on your workshop guide some example of non-customers, but there are a lot. There are maybe more than you think for now. So that's why we'll have a workshop dedicated right now to the non-customer identification, profiling. We'll profile them. Does it answer your question, Joben?
Yes, thank you very, very much.
Okay, you're welcome. We have Audrey raising her hand.
Oh, I just wanted to notify you that Kanayo and Kumo currently have load shedding, so they'll have connection issues for an hour or so.
Yeah, sorry for them. I've shared with you on the chat and by email this morning the YouTube live link, so you can follow us as you can, even if you cannot connect. The YouTube link is you can go in the past and see what had been said. It will be the same link when the video will be offline. When the live will be over, it will be the same link. Okay, and Kumo says, she just said on the chat she's using her phone for now. Other question before we start again? I think we have everybody back. Almost everybody. Sorry for this electricity and internet connection problems you may facing. So I share my screen. I will start as promised. Yeah. We have a question in the chat. On the chat, we have a question. Sorry. Yeah. Load shedding is upon us. Yeah, yeah, cool. Okay, but you will solve that. Energy group will solve this problem very soon, right? So here we are now. I will come back a little about blue ocean shift process, because last time my screen was not shared, so you missed a little of the information. As you can see, it's exactly the steps. There are 4 steps in the blue ocean shift process. It's a process to start with a red ocean industry and to shift your understanding, your the way the main actors are proceeding on the market, on the industry, to change that and to shift to find this blue ocean market space without competition, to be the first to enter it. So there are 4 steps. It stays around almost 2-3 months to proceed to these steps, to follow these steps. First one is a visual awakening. It's exactly what you have done on Thursday and as an homework. Exactly what you have shared today. It's to know, to understand, is my industry red or blue ocean? Is there a potential to create my own blue ocean? And so you can, and you have experienced it, you have just experienced it. You can also understand or discover some hidden values, hidden missing values on the industry, and it give you a first start. It's a very good start. You did it very well, in my opinion. So it's very positive for the future, for the next steps. So second step, it's exploration. It's also called the visual exploration. At this step, you have interviews. You conduct interviews with the non-customers. You have previously identified your non-customers for your industry, and then you conduct interviews with them, or you are embedded, I would say, in their experience. You have a look and you understand what are they living in terms of experience. And in this way, you will be able to draw what we call the utility map. Utility map, it's as always this big elements mindset. It's a big overview to identify what is key. What are these hidden pain points or dreams or key issues the non-customers are facing, and your market, your industry does not see for now. So the third step is ideation. It's what we will do tomorrow. We will use the 6-pass description you have prepared. You have started to prepare and you will have finalized for tomorrow. It's following these 6 paths, it's you will find a lot of ideas. Maybe not 200 per group, but maybe 20, about 20 ideas per group. And you will list all these ideas and you will select some ideas. Ideally 1 ID per binôme. So we'll go back in the binôme configuration here. And then the 4th step, new offering. It's also called visual strategy construction. It's at this step you will build your blue ocean strategy matrix to show in one blink, in one page, what is your strategy? What do you move? Which element do you move? Value elements do you move on the market, on the industry? Who are your customers you are addressing? Your value proposition, your identity, market potential. And then the following steps, 5 and 6, they are about prototyping, market feedback, internal validation if you're a big company, but also market validation, MVP, with lean startup mindset. MVP is minimum viable product. Very soon you have to test your ideas, and not only one ID. You can test several ideas with the customers, with your targets, with the non-customers, and you put them in the end, first version of your service or your product to understand how they use it or they react on it, and to fine-tune it. And then doing that, it's a beta testing, beta testing. In doing this beta testing, you are launching your offering, your product or service in the same time. So you can recognize here the first step, visual awakening, strategy canvas is exactly what you did today. Non-customers profiling, it's what we'll do just after. Exploration by your user cycle, utility levels to build the utility map. It's what we will do today in the afternoon, after lunch. And ideation, you will use your 6 paths description you have prepared. So it's very important to do it well. And here PMS map, it's we will not use it because we will not have so many ideas tomorrow, but it's good to know. It's a map to have a segmentation of your ideas, to put them on the map and understand which ideas are the biggest market, the more pioneer, the short term with the short term TTM, time to market. And then the last step, a new offering, it's to build your blue ocean offering. It's the blue ocean matrix, the using scenario to show with a drawing or with text what the user is experiencing with your offering, and the strategy canvas to be. You see blue ocean matrix and strategy canvas to be. At this step, you have a very new version of your strategy canvas where you can show your to-be offering, which concept, which blue ocean offering you want to deliver to the market. And you will compare it to the current offerings currently on the market. Minimum viable product, as I said, it's very important to be testing oriented, to try to test very fast with the customers, with the users, with the non-customers also, your new offerings to understand, is there a potential? What do I have to fine-tune? Tomorrow, as I said at the beginning, we'll have Jason Hunter. He will give you some tips about this last step He will also react on your offerings. He's a very high-level Blue Ocean expert, and he will have a second. He will give you a second point of view, discovering your offerings. So it's interesting. We'll have also, I think, Isaiah maybe from City of Tshwane joining us tomorrow when you will be pitching your ideas to have these feedbacks. So right now we'll start with the second workshop. It's identification, profiling of the non-customers of your industry. So I've sent you this morning at 8 the workshop guide we will use today and tomorrow. Okay. We have Brighton raise his hand. Yes, Brighton.
Hi, Alban. I just have a question with regards to this this competition, right?
Mm-hmm. About the process? Your question is about the process?
The process mm-hmm. is fine. I'm fine with the process. However, I feel like this is just for us to get a feel of how we can mature our ideas, how we can look at other ways to improve our ideas, right? That is correct.
It's more than that. It's you can use it as you want. You already had some ideas. That's the point. But ideas, it's just ideas. It's nothing until it's really implemented and really have people paying for this idea and for this offerings project. So the proposal here is to have a step back. With this presentation we had this morning with Strategy Canva, it gives you an overview. It gives you maybe another point of view you maybe didn't have before about all the industry. It makes you maybe realize some points you didn't have until now, you didn't see until now maybe. So it's the opportunity here with this 3-day Blue Ocean to challenge and maybe to find new ideas. Challenge your current ideas and maybe make it bigger, make it more Blue Ocean, or maybe find more relevant, more interesting, bigger idea. I don't know.
Yeah, but my question was because the categories that were put out, for example, I'm in the transport group, right? Is that my idea that I pitched was not specifically related to transport. It is related to, say, other components that affect transport. So I just wanted to find out if that would the group is flexible to allow for sub-components or things that that can make that are dependent on transport in that group. Is that okay that I can pitch an idea that is not directly linked to transport but does affect transport?
Yeah, the objective of the 6 paths description you were preparing is exactly to go out of the industry. So if you have an idea already a little out of the industry, it's perfect, because this is the objective of a Blue Ocean strategy, is to find another market. So you have to be one step one step ahead, one step on the side to find a new market. So it's totally relevant, totally consistent.
Okay.
We have other questions on the chat. Ultimately, will each group be presenting one proposal, or will each? Yeah, it's a good question. As I said, tomorrow, at the end of the ideation session, you will have a lot of ideas in each group. Okay, maybe 20, 30 ideas. I don't know. So at this step, of course, each binôme will have to choose maybe to stay on their first ID, maybe to make it evolved based on the ideation and the understanding you will have had this time, or maybe find an ID, take an ID, pick and choose an ID from all the ideation session. So of course, normally you are binôme per binôme, you are working in binôme. So, or maybe you could merge some binômes together to make a four people group, or don't know, bigger groups, as you want. Tomorrow you will decide with all the IDs. Each binôme will decide: do I keep my IDs, take another one, merge with another group? It will be as you want. Okay, Joben, it's answer your question.
Yeah, in answering his question, I have questions now from what you've just said.
Mm-hmm.
So in tomorrow's presentations, based on the findings in the binomes, is that the ultimate or final pitching for the Inter-University Innovation Challenge as a whole, or is it just
No, it's just in the session. It's don't worry, nothing serious. We are still learning.
Okay.
Sorry. It's just the 3-day session we have. You have with me the Blue Ocean. It's to train you to pitch a Blue Ocean offering.
Perfect.
It's training, right? That's why it will be one of my colleagues, Blue Ocean expert, very aware of that, and he will give you some tips, and it's to train you. Lebogang, you have raised your hand. Yeah, Lebogang.
No, my question was with regards to whether that was the final pitch, because it sounded as though we were making a final pitch, because for our energy group, we just chose an abstract concept. It's not one of our project. It's just one that we chose for the sake of the session. So yeah, I just got clarity.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, at the end of the ideation session, as I said, each binôme will decide which ideas they want to work on and which offerings they want to build. Okay, so we have again raised.
Hi, Alban.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, is this pitching of ideas or having an ideas, should we only limit ourselves to a country scale, or we can even look at the international scale?
Yeah, as you want. Each scales are interesting, and of course, I would recommend to be the most to find the biggest market as possible. So if you directly target the international, I think it's good. It's as you want. It can be local or international market. It depends maybe on your ID, your concept. It's free on that. Other people are raising their hands. Okay. We have Namulo. When is the Blue Ocean final pitch? Yeah, I've presented that on Thursday. It will be in February. February, it will be the 4 winners on each categories. They will pitch in front of the ambassador of France in South Africa, in front of all the stakeholders from City of Tshwane and universities. Yeah, Kumo, tomorrow's speech is just a training session to show what you have learned so far, and which Blue Ocean offerings you have selected, and how you present it, how you pitch it. So it's just training tomorrow. It's not official pitch. Okay, don't worry. Okay, so now we'll continue on the on the first workshop we have today. So first workshop, it's today, it will be for each group to identify your non-customers for your industry. So you have your workshop guide, the same as on Thursday. I will split you into each groups based on your topics. So just as a reminder, Karabo, you asked me if I am part of the final pitch panel. I don't know. Maybe I will be invited by City of Tshwane to be part of the final pitch panel. I don't know for now. James asked if does that mean we can collaborate to present one idea as group? No, as I said, it's as you want. Tomorrow, with all the ideas you will get per group, you will decide if you just work on an idea as a binôme, or if you merge the binômes to make a bigger group. It's as you want. You will decide tomorrow. Until today and tomorrow for the ideation session, you are still in groups based on the 4 topics. We have also Brighton. Brighton has raised his hand. Yeah, Brighton, we cannot hear you.
I tried to lower my hand. I couldn't do that.
Okay. Here are the 4 topics. Just a reminder, you have this on your workshop guide, and you see I've started to think a little about your non-customers in each group. But it's just to make you start. You need to find really all the profiles, all the non-customers for your industry. So here, it's the first. You can see here for each group, you have this in your workshop guide. 30 minutes to list the non-customers of your industry. You remember, unexplored, anti-to-be non-customers. So for transport, who are the non-customers against anti-transport? Who are the non-customers to be? So they are less and less using transport in South Africa. Unexplored, maybe they have never been considered as potential customers by the industry. And the same for each group. You will work on that for 30 minutes. You have the timing here always. And then you will continue. It will be the lunch, and then we'll have the lunch at 11:30. No, sorry, at 1:30. At 1:30, we'll have lunch. Okay. So now I will split you into each groups.